So after the gender, we decide the singular and plural of vowels. So we have 6 rules under this. Okay. 6 rules define the different endings. On the basis of the endings, we decide how to make the plural of a particular of a particular noun. So rule number 1 talks about vowels. That is, if any word ends with a vowel, then we simply add an S at the end of the word to make it plural. So you can see the examples here. Livro, it ends in U. So what are the 5 vowels in Portuguese? What are the 5 vowels we have?
A, E, I, O, U.
A, E, O, U. Okay. Temos 5 vogais, 5 vowels in Portuguese. A, E, O, U. Now, if any word ends with any of these vowels, then we will simply add an S to make the plural of it. Like we have livro, plural is livros. So we just added an S and we have the plural. Livro, livros. Caneta, canetas. Garrafa, garrafas. Abacaxi, abacaxis. So like this, whatever word we have, if it ends with a vowel, then we simply add an S at the end to make it plural. Very simple rule. Then rule number 2 talks about words ending in these letters, R, S or Z. For the word that end in R, S or Z, we will have to add an ES to make it plural. So if we had the word cellular, then we are adding ES to the word to make it plural. So cellular becomes cellularish. We added an ES, cellularish. Similarly, mulher becomes mulherish, adding an ES. Amor becomes amorish. Mar becomes marish. So we are simply adding an ES where the word is ending in R. Similarly, we will add ES to the words ending in S as well. For example, month in Portuguese is called mês. Okay. Mês. It comes with an accent. Let me put the accent here. So this is how we spell month in Portuguese. The plural will be meses. Since it is ending in S, we will just add ES to it. Similarly, the word for country is país. Okay. It is ending in S. So we will add ES to this to make the plural. It becomes países. Similarly, we can have words ending in Z also. For example, vez. Vez becomes vezes. Vezes. For example, muitas vezes means many times, lot of times. Muitas vezes. So like this, all the words that end in R, S or Z, they will take up an ES at the end to form the plural. Then words ending in L. I will come back to this rule later because there are more sub rules in this. So let's skip 3 and let us just finish the rest of it. Then I'll come back to 3. Number 4 talks about words ending in M and N. So for the words that end in M, we will remove the M from the end and add an NS to make the plural. For example, we had the word viagem, ending in M. So we remove the M from the end and we add an NS. So it becomes viagens. Viagens. For example, we have the word mensagem. What is the meaning of mensagem?
Message.
Message. And what will be the plural of this?
Mensagem.
Mensagens.
Mensagens. Yes. Okay. Mensagens. For example, we have the word, okay, this is mensagens. We have the word homem, means man. And what will be men in Portuguese? Plural. Homage.
Umesh.
Humane.
For example, we have the word Paisagen. The plural will be
Paisagens.
Paisagen.
Paisagens. Yes. So like this, whenever we have the letter M at the end of the word, then we just remove the M from the end. Please remember that first we have to remove the M and then we add NS to it. Okay? So it becomes the plural. So we have bon, bons. Although this is not a noun, it is an adjective. Bon means good and bons is the plural. Fee, themes. Okay. Fee means end and themes is the plural of it. Jardim, jardins. Jardin means garden. Jardim, jardins. Algum, alguns. So like this, wherever we have the letter M at the end, then in the plural we remove the M and we add NS to make it plural. Then what about the words that already have an N at the end? If we have a word that already has N at the end, then we will simply add S to make the plural. Like colon, colons, electron, electrons. So we are doing nothing but adding an S at the end. After the letter M, we'll add an S to make the plural. So for words that have M at the end, we have to remove the M and add NS. Whereas for the words which already have an N at the end, there we will just add an S to make the plural. Moving on, words ending in words ending in. Now this one is one of the exceptions. Words ending in "ang." For these words, we do not have any particular rule. That is, we cannot predict that which word will end in what kind of combination in the plural form. Let's understand this better. If a word has the complete ending of "song," for example, let's say educação. Let me write the word. If a word has the complete ending of "song," then it will always end in "soish." If we can see the ending of sound, that is, we can see the complete ending of sound along with the letter C. So in that case, it will end in ish. Okay, put this with the accent. Just a second. Yes, please ask what your question is. Somebody has a question? It is difficult to put the accents on the PDF. Here it goes. So if I can see the complete ending of sound, then it will always end in soish. Like you have the example here, coração, corações. Educação, educações. Similarly, we have informação, and plural will be informações. Informação, informações. So like this, if we can see the ending of sound, then it will definitely end in soish in the plural form. But if we don't have the ending of sound, if we cannot see the letter C, then we cannot predict what will be the ending of that word in the plural. So there can be three forms of plural ending for the words with "ang." We are talking about "ang," not "sound." Okay. So for example, avião ends in aviões. Okay. Avião becomes aviões. Limão becomes limões. But orgão becomes orgãos. So there can be plurals of these kind of words that end in "aush" also. Orgão becomes orgãos. Irmão becomes irmãos. Mão becomes mãos. So the word orgão will not become orgões. It will always be organche. But we don't have any particular logic, any particular reason why organ will become organche and why it cannot become orgoish or orgaish. So that is very special about this rule, rule number 5, words ending in aun. So all the words ending in aun can end in three different types of plurals. The plural word can end up in oish, it can end up in aush, or it can end in aish. But we don't have any specific rule that predicts that this word should end in this plural. It can be any of the plurals, but for every word you have to remember what is the plural of that word. There is only one exception when we have the complete ending of song. We can see the C in the word. Okay. If we can have the complete ending of song, then only the word will end in soish. No exceptions. A word that ends in sound can never end in sounsh or saish. It will always end in soish. So the point is, if we can see the complete ending of sound, then we can predict the plural of that word. That word in plural will always end in soish. But if we cannot see the letter C and we don't have the complete ending of sound, it is only aon, like avion or irmão. We only have the ending of aon visible to us. In that case, we cannot predict what kind of ending will it have in the plural. Now, under the endings of aon, we can have three types of plurals. That is oish, ange, and aish. We have some examples here. Avion becomes aviões, limão becomes limões. Then for the second one, irmão becomes irmãos, and mão becomes mãos. For plurals ending in aish, we only have one example here, that is pão becomes pães. These two examples here, capitão and alemão, these are actually examples of the first rule, 5.1. Capitão becomes capitões, alemão becomes alemões. So generally speaking, most common one is this one, oish. Most commonly words that end in au, they actually end in oish in the plural. That is the most common one. Then less common is aush, and very least common is aish. There are very less words that end in aish in the plural. So is this rule clear to all of you, rule number 5? Can you give me a thumbs up? Or if anybody has a question, please ask. Any questions, anyone? So I'm assuming it's clear to everyone.
Ma'am, can you repeat again?
Yes, I will repeat that. Anyone else has any questions? I will repeat the rule, but apart from that, yes, Nakul?
It's like ounce different from ounce from 5.2 and 5.6.
Sorry?
I'm like pound, the bread is pints and
Yes,
irmão is irmãos.
yes.
They're different. They both have ow and the
Right. That is the whole point. See, there is no difference. हमारे पास ऐसा कोई लॉजिक, ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं है जो बोलता है कि इरमाऊ क्यों इरमाउश होता है और पाँव क्यों पाइश होता है, यानी पाँव क्यों पाउश नहीं हो सकता, या फिर इरमाऊ क्यों इरमाइश या फिर इरमोइश क्यों नहीं हो सकता. ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली. So there is no rule that can predict why a specific word should have a specific ending in the plural. The only thing we know is the specific word. हमें specific word याद रखना है कि इरमाओ का plural इरमाउश ही होता है, और ऐसा क्यों होता है इसके पीछे कोई logic नहीं है. So this rule is complicated in the way that it does not follow any rule actually. Just to repeat the yes Rajiv.
मैम मैं कहता फिर से याद रखना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, एक ही तरीका है कि इसे याद करना पड़ेगा, एक्सेप्ट फॉर साउंड. अगर पूरा का पूरा साउंड दिख रहा है तो उसकी एंडिंग हमेशा सॉइश ही होगी प्लूरल में. For the other words, you cannot have any rule. The only way is to memorize them, to remember them. So with time, with more reading, with when you come across more words, you will automatically have an idea what word ends in, what kind of combination in the plural. And as I told you, the most common combination is oish. Later we have ansh. This is less common. And very rare is the aish combination. Mostly the words will end in oish. Anybody else has any questions? Any questions from rule number 5? Okay, so I'm assuming that is clear to everyone. Moving on to the last one, that is rule number 6. This is not a rule, but it talks about exceptions. There are some words which we use the same word in singular and plural, or it doesn't have a plural at all. Okay. Like the word oasis. Do you know what is an oasis in English?
In deserts,
Yeah,
desert, right?
right. So if there's a small patch of water in the desert, in the middle of a desert, that is called an oasis. And there will be small plants beside the water body. The small water body in the desert, which is called an oasis. Okay. So that in Portuguese is called oasis with the accent. Oasis. Then we have lapish. So these words will have the same word in plural. They don't have a different word. So, for example, the word lapish means pencil. Okay. And in plural also, it is called lapish. So, you can see the article here. For a single pencil, we are saying u lapish. And for many pencils, we are saying ush lapish. Multiple pencils. But we are ultimately using the same word. Then for virush, virus, the word virus in English also does not have a plural. We use the word virus itself for singular and plural. Same goes in Portuguese. O vírus for singular and os vírus. So the article is becoming plural to denote that the word is now being used as a plural. Os vírus. But the word itself remains the same. Doesn't change with the plural. Then there are some words which do not have a singular. They only come in plural. Like glasses. Glasses meaning the glasses that you wear, spectacles. Okay. That is called oculus. Let me put it here. Oculus. So we say ush oculus. The glasses. Then words like there is word like which come mostly in the collective form, like the word ahos. Okay. Ahos means rice. We don't make plural of the word rice. Okay. We don't have a plural of this. So it remains in the singular form only. Like if I say, okay, I think these are the examples that I have. So ush oculus. Oculus, since it always comes in a pair. So we always use the plural form only. We'll never say oculu. It is always oculus. And for words like rice, we cannot have plural of rice. So for that we use ahosh. We don't make plural of it. So these are some exceptional words which will not have a different word in the plural version. Now coming back to the rule number 3. I want you to pay attention in this. Rule number 3 talks about words that end in L. Now, all the words that end in L can have these different types of endings. It can end in AL, like hospital. Hospital, the word is ending in AL. It can end in EL, like the word papel. It can end in IL. For example, gentil. Gentil means kind. It can end in OL, for example, soul means sun. And it can end in UL, like soul. So all the words that end in the letter L it will always have a combination of a vowel with it. So it can end in either AL, EL, OL, or UL and IL. Now, when we read the rules of the letter L, then first we separate this one. Because for IL, we have completely different rules. So we will, we will put this in a different box, IL. Okay. The first rule of the letter L talks about the words that end in these combinations. That is AL, EL, OL, and UL. Whatever words end in these combinations, for these we have rule number 3.1. For words ending in AL, EL, OL, and UL, we will substitute the L with IS. That is, you will remove the letter L from the end and you will put IS to have the plural. So papeu becomes papéis. PAPEL. We have EL at the end. So we remove the L and we add IS. So it becomes papéis. Sau becomes saish. We remove the L and we add IS. So it becomes saish. Portau becomes portais. Like this, whatever words we have, we will remove the L and we will add IS. Now, this rule cannot work with the words ending in IS. For example, if I take the word gentiu, it is ending in L. So, if I put the same rule there, then I'll remove the L from the end and I will add IS. So, it looks weird. It is gentish. Doesn't work like that. It doesn't make any proper sound like that. That is why this rule does not work with the words ending in IL. That is why for the words ending in IL, we have to have a separate rule. Now let us see what is our separate rule, what is our different rule for words ending in IL. Now again, words ending in IL, we divide them into two categories. Let's say words ending in IL. So in this, we can have two categories of words. There can be words where the stress is on the last syllable. Stress is on last syllable. If we have an accent on the last syllable, or maybe a double letter on the last syllable. Okay. So where can we have these situations? If we have accentu agudo on the last syllable, or if we have a double letter like double R, double E, if we have a double letter at the end in the last syllable. In these two situations, the stress will come on the last syllable. Because see, by default, the stress can never be on the last syllable. What is the by default stress in Portuguese language? Where do we put the stress?
Second last.
Second last syllable, right? So by default, we cannot have a situation where the stress is on the last syllable. So by default, we have in the second last syllable. The second category says the stress is on the second last syllable. So this can come under two situations. Any word with default stress, or secondly, if we have accentu agudo in the second last syllable. In these two situations, we will have stress on the second last syllable. So let us just rest on this theory for once and understand this better. the words that end in IL will again be divided into two kind of categories. Okay? There are two categories in which we will divide the words ending in IL. ये वर्ड ऐसा हो सकता है जिसमें लास्ट सिलेबल पे स्ट्रेस आए. जनरली लास्ट सिलेबल पे स्ट्रेस नहीं आता है. पोर्चुगीज लैंग्वेज में बाय डिफॉल्ट सेकेंड लास्ट सिलेबल पे स्ट्रेस आता है. सो इफ द स्ट्रेस इज ऑन द लास्ट सिलेबल पे कब स्ट्रेस आ सकता है? पहला कंडीशन ये है कि अगर एक्सेंटू अगूदू आ जाता है लास्ट सिलेबल के ऊपर, then we will put accent on the last syllable. And second condition is that if we have a double letter in the last syllable, like a double R, double L, like this, if we have a double letter in the last syllable, then also the stress will become on the last syllable. And the second category of word says the stress is on the second last syllable. So mostly all the words in Portuguese have the stress on second last syllable unless it has any accent. And if the accent to agudo comes on the second last syllable, then also the stress comes on the second last syllable. So these are the two categories of words. Is this clear to everyone, the two categories? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay. Okay, now it is taken for granted that we will learn two different rules for the two categories. इसीलिए हमने ये दो कैटेगरी समझने की कोशिश करी ताकि हमें दो अलग अलग रूल समझ आए. दो कैटेगरीज के लिए दो अलग रूल्स हैं. So for the words with stress on the last syllable, for this the rule says, see, we substitute the L with S when the stress is on the last syllable. So the rule says remove L and add S. Very simple. We'll remove the L from the end and add an S. Look at this example here. Bahiu. In the word bahiu, we have two syllables, ba and hiu. We can see that there is a double R in the last syllable, ba, hiu. So because of the double R, the stress is on the last syllable. So according to the rule, we will remove the L and we will add S. So bahiu becomes bahish. Bahiu becomes bahish. Then we have let's come to the second category. The second category says that the stress is on the second last. In that case, we will actually remove the IL and we will add EIS. So in this category, remove the IL from the end and add EIS. Second category of words where the stress is on the second last syllable. So we know that by default, every word in Portuguese has a stress on the second last syllable. But apart from that also, if we have an accent to agudo on the second last syllable, then definitely the stress will come there. Now in this category of the word, if we can decide that, okay, this word has stress on the second last syllable, in that case, we will remove the IL from the end and we will add EIS. Look at this example, guys. Heptiu. Heptiu. Where is the stress in this word? Which part seems extended to you? Heptiu.
Hey. Accent agudo is there. Hey.
Definitely. Accent to agudo is there, so it's a no-brainer. Okay? Wherever there is accent to agudo, the stress will be there only. So is it the second last syllable or the last syllable of the word?
Second last.
Second last one. So
Second last.
apply the second rule. Yes. Okay. It is the second last one. So we'll apply the second rule. The second rule says remove the IL and add EIS. So see, heptiu becomes hepteish. We removed the IL from the end and we added EIS. So it became hepteish. So here is a small correction in your book. Here it is written substitute L with EIS. Please correct it and mention IL. Not just L, we have to replace IL and add EIS. Please make sure all of you correct this. And it is better that you can form this kind of a table in your book so that it is more clear. All the words ending in IL can be divided into these two categories. First one is stress on the last syllable. Second one talks about stress in the second last syllable. And then we saw situations. In what kind of situation we will have stress on the last syllable and what situations we can have stress on the second last syllable. So the rule of last syllable is remove L and add S. And the rule for stress on the second last syllable says remove IL and add EIS. So with practice, you don't really have to remember this at going forward. You will have automatically, effortlessly, you will keep conjugating or keep having the particular ending. It will come effortlessly to you. ठीक है, जैसे जैसे आपका प्रैक्टिस होते रहेगा, आप ज्यादा से ज्यादा वर्ड सीखेंगे तो आप ऑटोमेटिकली इनको प्लूरल में कन्वर्ट कर पाएंगे. आपको इतना सोचना नहीं पड़ेगा कि कहाँ पे स्ट्रेस है तो कौन सा रूल अप्लाई करना है. इनिशियली यू हैव टू लर्न, that is true, you have to learn the rules, but once you learn it, with time, with more repetition, it will become very effortless for you. So the rule of L is clear to everyone. Anybody has any questions or anybody wants me to repeat? So if it is clear, can you all give me a thumbs up? Everyone? Great. Autumn change. Now let's revise all the rules once more. So we are reading singular and plural of nouns. Rule number 1 talks about words ending in vowels. We have 5 vowels in Portuguese: a, e, o, u. Cinco vogais, 5 vowels. So if any word ends with any of these vowels, then we simply add an s to make the plural of it. Then we came across words ending with r, s, or z. For all these endings, we add an es at the end. Remember that we are not removing any letter from anywhere. We are just adding es to make the plural. So cellular becomes cellularish, mesh becomes mesish, veg becomes vesish. Then coming to words ending in L. When we come to words ending in L, we can have 5 combinations. That is AL, EL, OL, UL, and words ending in IL. So for AL, EL, OL, and UL, we have rule number 3.1, which says that we will remove the L from the end and we will add IS. So we are removing one letter. We are removing letter L from the end and we are adding IS. So for example, sau becomes saish. Sal or sau means salt. In plural, it becomes saish. Portau. Portau means portal. It becomes portaish. So what we are doing here is just removing the letter S and adding IS. Sorry, removing the letter L and adding IS. Then for 3.2, we are talking only about the words ending in IL. Only IL. Even within IL, we can divide it into 2 categories. First category talks about when the stress is on the last syllable of the word. And the second category talks about stress is on the second last syllable of the word. Now coming to the first category, if the stress is on the last syllable of the word, then we actually remove the L and we add IS. We remove the L and we add S, not IS. Okay. We already have I there. So we'll remove the letter L and we'll add S for the first category. For the second category, we will remove the complete IL and we will add EIS. So heptu becomes hepteish. We remove the IL completely and we add EIS. That is the second category. Then we talked about words ending with M and N. For the words that end in M, We remove the letter M from the ending and we add NS. For example, mensagem becomes mensagens. Then words that already have N at the end, we simply add S to make it plural. Colon, colons. Then rule number 5 talks about words ending in "ow". Among all the words ending in "ow", there is an ending of "sow", where we can clearly see the letter C in it. The ending of "sow" guarantees that the ending of it in plural will be "soish". If we have any word that ends in "sow", that will definitely become "soish" in the plural version. Similarly, in the other cases, if we don't have the letter C, if we just have "ow", then we have no way to decipher or no way to predict what will be its ending in the plural form. Any word ending in "ow" can have three types of endings in the plural. That is oish, aush, and aish. But we don't have any rule to decide which word will end in oish, which will end in aush, or which will end in aish. We can just remember or learn these words. So we have examples in every respective rule, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. So you can, with these examples, you can have an idea which word ends in what kind of combination in the plural. Lastly, we read some exceptions for words which will either be used the same word in the plural, the same word will be used in the plural and singular, or there can be words which only have the plural version. They don't have a singular version at all, like oculus. Or there can be words like ajos, which does not have any singular version. It's a collective kind of noun. Okay, ajos is always, in a collective form. So for these words, we don't have separate words for singular and plural. We use only one word, that is ajos. We will not use any singular or plural of this. So these are your rules of singular and plural. Anybody has any questions from all these rules? I'll actually give you 2 minutes of time. Utilize the 2 minutes to understand and then ask questions. Yes, Bushra?
Like ahos, it's a rice. And then what about the sugar? Sugar is plural form sugar.
See, sugar is asukar. For that also, we don't make a plural.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
These kinds of words, we don't make a plural. Okay, 2 minutes of time for all of you. Please scan all the rules from your book and please ask questions if you have any. Also, make sure for the words ending in IL, you should draw this kind of a graph that will help you better in understanding.